This video didn't find you by mistake. It's not luck. And it's not just the algorithm. Something deeper, something invisible, guided you here. Maybe you've been searching without knowing it. For answers logic can't explain. For clarity that doesn't come through noise. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you're standing at a threshold. Because this message only reveals itself when you're ready to hear it. Part 1. The signal behind the silence. You've likely felt it, that strange pull towards something you can't quite name. A silent question echoing in the background of your thoughts. Sometimes it appears as restlessness. Other times it's the quiet sadness that visits you when the room goes still. A hunger for something real, not louder, but deeper. You look around and everything seems fine. But inside, something isn't sitting right. It's not depression. It's not despair. It's the soul nudging you awake. Because there comes a time when the surface no longer satisfies, when the world's distractions feel like static, and suddenly, you begin to notice the gaps, the moments between the noise, the stillness underneath the striving. That's when something sacred begins to stir, not in books, not in lectures, but in you. And here's a truth most won't tell you. You can't chase awakening. You can't demand insight. It only arrives when the inner clutter has been cleared, when you're finally quiet enough to hear the signal behind the silence. Most miss this, not because they're unworthy, but because they're still sprinting through a maze built by fear. But if this video appeared now, it means you've slowed down just enough for the truth to catch up to you. And what's coming next isn't information, it's remembrance. Part 2. Reality responds to you. Most people believe they're just passengers in this world, that life is a script written by chance, that fate is something to endure, not something to understand. But that belief is a veil. And when it begins to lift, you start to see the architecture beneath the illusion. Because the truth is far more dangerous and far more divine. Reality isn't something happening to you. It's something responding through you, like a mirror made of energy, like a dream that listens. Your thoughts, electric pulses, your emotions, magnetic fields, and together they form your vibrational fingerprint. The matrix doesn't judge. It doesn't punish. It simply reflects back the story you've been telling yourself, even if you don't know you're telling it. That's why a wounded self-worth attracts people who confirm it. Why fear of abandonment calls in those who leave. Why chaos repeats until you realize you're the one broadcasting the signal. You don't control the universe, but you do communicate with it through your focus, through your patterns, through the unspoken beliefs you carry like sacred codes etched into your nervous system. Want to know what you've been projecting? Look around. Your life is not random. It's responsive. It bends not to your words, but to your vibration. Every room you walk into, every encounter you have, is reading your frequency before you even say a word. And the moment you stop outsourcing power and start seeing reality as a living mirror, that's when the shift begins. Part 3. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. This is where most people misunderstand. They believe that thinking about success attracts success, that repeating words like abundance or love is enough. But the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you carry. Your dominant vibration, your emotional baseline, is your signature. So if, beneath the surface, your energy still whispers, "I'm not enough. Nothing ever lasts. People always leave," then no matter what you chase, life will mirror those beliefs, not to punish you, but to reveal what still needs to be seen. Because you don't attract what you want. You attract what you're in harmony with. And harmony isn't forced, it's cultivated. So how do you shift your vibration? Not with noise, not with effort, but with intention. Before you pick up your phone in the morning, ask yourself, what energy am I waking up with? Place your hand on your chest. Breathe. Feel where the tension lives. That's the starting point. Then calibrate, slowly, consistently. Speak to yourself like someone worth loving. Move your body like someone who deserves peace. Light a candle, not just for light, but as a ritual, a symbol of presence, of stillness, of self-respect. Play music that feels sacred. Journal your fears without judgment. Sit in silence long enough to remember who you were before the noise. These aren't cliches, they're keys. Micro adjustments, tiny acts of alignment, done daily, done sincerely, begin to bend reality around you. Not because you're manifesting with force, but because you're finally becoming clear enough for the universe to recognize. Part 4. The universe speaks in synchronicities. When your energy begins to align, life doesn't just get quieter, it gets louder in the right places. You start noticing patterns. 11:11 on the clock, a feather on the pavement, a song on the radio that feels like it was written for you. These aren't charming coincidences. They're encrypted messages. You think of someone, and they appear. You ask for a sign, and something subtle, yet undeniable shows up. A delay frustrates you, only to guide you toward the exact conversation you needed to have. This is how the universe speaks, not through noise, but through meaningful patterns. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, the meeting point between your inner world and outer experience, where the psyche and the cosmos begin to dance. But here's what most people miss. Synchronicities are not rewards, they're reflections. They don't show up to impress you. They show up to confirm that you're in harmony. Think of them as road signs from your soul, affirmations from the matrix, subtle nods from a reality that's alive and responsive. But they only appear when you're still enough to notice, when you stop demanding and start listening. That's why presence is everything, because the present moment is where the signals live. If your mind is filled with noise, you miss the messages. But when you're anchored, even the flicker of candlelight can feel like prophecy. The more you trust that guidance, the more it appears. Not because you forced it, but because you became the kind of person those moments seek. Part 5. You're not watching reality, you're programming it. Here's what they never taught you. You're not just watching life happen. You're not just reacting to circumstances. You are the source signal. Your thoughts are not background noise. They are commands. Your emotions are not side effects. They are frequencies. And every single moment, every room you walk into, every event that unfolds, adjusts to match your internal code. Think of life not as a stage, but as a responsive field. You move, it mirrors. You shift, it responds. You fear, it echoes. You trust, it opens. Most people live unaware. They're the ones transmitting. They see chaos and call it bad luck. But the truth is more confronting. That chaos may be a reflection of internal dissonance. That emotional clutter, its scrambled signal, that repeating setback, it's the system looping until you rewrite the code. This isn't superstition. It's energetic precision. You're not living inside reality. You're inside a matrix that responds to the shape of your being. You're not a spectator. You're the dreamer and the dreamed, the architect and the avatar. And when you stop trying to rearrange the mirror and instead reshape the frequency behind the glass, that's when the shift begins. Not because you forced the world to change, but because you finally became clear enough for the world to recognize. Part 6. Tiny shifts, massive echoes. You don't have to change everything overnight. You don't need a 10-step plan. In this field, intention is amplification. One breath taken with presence shifts your signal. One moment of gratitude rewires the pattern. One decision to pause before reacting tells the universe you're no longer asleep. These are not small acts. They are seismic. The matrix doesn't need volume. It responds to coherence. Think of a Stoic warrior, calm, still, measured. He doesn't waste movement. He doesn't flinch at chaos. His discipline is his alignment. That same energy lives in you. You access it by slowing down, by reclaiming the sacred in the ordinary. Lighting a candle, not for light, but for focus. Placing a hand on your chest, not for comfort, but to return to center. Walking without headphones, so your soul can speak above the noise. Every act becomes a message. Every habit becomes a ritual. You don't need incense in temples. You need presence. You need intention in motion. Before you check your phone, ask yourself, what am I about to tune into? Before you speak, ask, what frequency am I releasing into the field? These are not spiritual cliches. They are weapons of clarity. Because even the smallest of shifts, done consistently, done with reverence, begin to restructure the grid beneath your life. You become less of a puppet, more of a participant, then a partner, and eventually a sculptor of fate. Remember, the signal is always live, and the universe is always listening. You didn't find this video, it found you. And maybe now, that makes more sense. The timing, the tension in your life, the quiet pull you couldn't explain. It wasn't chance, it was alignment. Because when your inner world becomes still enough, honest enough, the messages stop hiding. You stop asking for proof and start becoming the proof. And from this moment on, nothing is quite the same. Because once you see the mirror, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the matrix responds to your frequency, you start sculpting with intention. Instead of reacting out of habit, you speak differently. You choose differently. You become a different signal. And the world begins to echo that back. So if this message stirred something in you, it wasn't entertainment, it was a reminder. The next message will come when the universe knows you're ready. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more Stoic wisdom. See you in the next video.